As of early April, the Russian occupation army had accumulated more than 1,000 missiles. However, according to military and political observer Alexander Kovalenko, the Russian Federation is selective in its missile attacks due to the significant wear and tear of the missile carriers. According to his data, today Russia produces 50 to 60 units of Kh-101/555, 30 to 45 units of the 3M14 Kalibr, 13 units of the 9M723 Iskander OTRK, 15 to 30 units of the 9M728 Iskander-K OTRK, and 4 to 5 units of the Kh-47M2 Kinzhal per month. According to Kovalenko, as of the beginning of April, and taking into account the latest strikes on Ukraine, the Russian Federation had at its disposal more than 250 Kh-101/555 units, more than 500 Kalibrs, approximately 110 Iskander-M units, approximately 280 Iskander-Ks, and 75 Kinzhals. As the observer emphasizes, the occupiers have accumulated enough Kh-101/555 and Kalibr missiles to systematically terrorize Ukraine with strikes. But this is not happening. He explained that one of the reasons is that the main carriers of these missiles are very worn out, and their more frequent use could lead to a catastrophe. Therefore, combat sorties of the Tu-95Ms are not carried out every week, but once a month. At the same time, these aircraft are equipped with a limited combat set, not the full capability according to their performance characteristics, 8 missiles per side. Secondly, the efficiency of using the Kh-101 and ZM-14 is much lower than that of the ballistic 9M723. The probability of intercepting subsonic cruise missiles of our air defense is much higher than in the case of the 9M723, which can only be intercepted by the Patriot and SAMP-T air defense systems. The latter can be counted on the fingers of one hand, the expert said. He noted that while the Kh-101 and 3M14 missiles can be shot down even by a mobile fire group from a portable anti-aircraft system, the 9M723 Iskander is elusive for most Ukrainian air defense systems. Here is the conclusion. Launch 20 Kh-101 missiles, costing more than $100 million, and with a high probability of losing 80%, 90% or all 100%, or launch a 9M723 Iskander at an area where there are no Patriot or SAMP-T air defense systems and have a 99% probability of a strike. The analyst emphasized. He suggests that this is precisely the reason why the Russian Federation is now stockpiling Kh-101 and 3M14 missiles, while the 9M723 is being consumed non-stop, turning this missile into the main instrument of terror. The occupation forces of the aggressor country Russia are setting up shelters and firing points along the road from Chernomorskoye to Yevpatoria and further to Saki. This was reported by the Telegram channel Krymsky Vita. Locals report that the Russians have set up fortifications of concrete and sandbags along the entire road. Enemy personnel are also stationed along the highway and at intersections. The enemy troops explained such preparations by the need to repel possible attacks by the Ukrainian military. However, this version is most likely nothing more than a cover. The thing is that the occupiers need to use the funds allocated for defense, but half of them have already been stolen. That is why they are setting up fortifications in Crimea. Military experts believe that after the liberation of Kherson and the complete clearing of the right bank, Ukrainian troops will not be in a hurry to force the Dnipro to begin the liberation of the left bank. After the control of the city passed into the hands of the Ukrainian army, it is likely that the command will give an order to set up artillery positions for striking the deep rear of the Russians on the left bank. The liberation of Kherson and the right bank of the region will allow the armed forces of Ukraine to significantly increase their firepower on the territory, which acts as a military hub for the occupiers. In addition, analysts say that control of the city would expand Ukraine's capabilities and weaken Russia's ability to hold the territory it still controls, including occupied Crimea. The scenarios for the return of Crimea are completely different, but the conclusion of all experts and the military is the same. Crimea will return to Ukraine. Recently, Ukrainian intelligence officers carried out large-scale attacks on Russian occupiers' facilities in Crimea for several days in a row. In particular, a helicopter, the ship Fyodor Uryupin, and more than 10 radar stations were hit. Earlier, it also became known that Ukrainian intelligence officers attacked the TOR-M2 anti-aircraft missile system of the occupation forces, and drones of the Gumagu Special Forces unit attacked Russian ships in the Crimea. Let us recall that media wrote that in March, unmanned systems of the main intelligence directorate of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine attacked Crimea for several days. The strikes were carried out on Russian radar stations, air defense systems, sea vessels, and even a helicopter.
Suspected U.S. airstrikes killed at least 2 people overnight in a stronghold of Yemen's Houthi rebels, the group said Sunday. According to Associated Press, the strikes in Sada killed 2 people and wounded 4 others, with footage aired by the Houthis' Al Masirah satellite news channel showing a strike collapsing what appeared to be a 2-story building. The Iranian-backed Houthis aired no footage from inside the building, which they described as a solar power shop. The intense campaign of airstrikes in Yemen under U.S. President Donald Trump targeting the rebels over their attacks on shipping in Mideast waters stemming from the Israel-Hamas war has killed at least 69 people, according to casualty figures released by the Houthis. However, the Houthis have not acknowledged any casualties from their security and military leadership, something challenged after an online video posted by Trump. The White House has said there have been over 200 strikes so far targeting the Houthis.